Greetings from Athens, Greece, guys. So this is yet another stop on my international trip this autumn, and I've had a very interesting experience here as a gay person. There's a lot to cover, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I have to start off by saying, gay dating aside, I was actually kind of disappointed by Athens, Greece as a city. After the first few days, I kind of had already seen everything I wanted to see. So I was lucky that the rest of the week I had men capture my attention. I have to say that the men here, for what I like, and it's not for everybody, but for my type, I guess, I very much like the aesthetic here with the men. Everybody has hair this black, and the men are very hairy, and they have beards. I don't right now. My scruff is coming back in. I just shaved a few days ago. But they basically look like me, but like the caveman version, and with darker eyes. They're all like over 6 feet tall and have like a natural athletic build. So very nice eye candy, I have to say. I have never been attracted to so many men on a dating app. I was pleasantly surprised by how many men there were on an app like Tinder. It is a major city, Athens, I guess, but I don't know. I didn't even know what to expect here with the gay culture, because Greece, religion-wise, is Greek Orthodox. So there are people who are very religious and conservative here, but it's also a Mediterranean country, and I don't know, it's not quite like Italy where there's the Vatican presence in Rome, and it's not like Turkey next door or the rest of the Middle East even, where it's more devoutly Muslim. I wasn't really sure what to expect, so I was pleasantly surprised by how many men there were on the apps, and also just how many good-looking men there were on the apps. So I had a few observations off the bat that I thought were unique and unusual. So on Tinder, I noticed that the vast majority of the guys don't have a profile description. There's no description at all. And I was like, that's kind of odd. I mean, every city you have guys who don't put in any effort, and it's just their pictures and that's it. But this was like remarkably ubiquitous, that very few guys who were local had actual descriptions. And I thought that was weird, and I wasn't sure if that's like a monkey see, monkey do thing, like nobody else does it, so then they don't feel like doing it. Or I had a theory. I was like, maybe these guys don't want to give too much attention to their profile. Like if Greece is more conservative than I think it is, or than I'm assuming it is, maybe these are guys on the down low or whatever, or maybe they're talking to women and men on here, so they don't want to like say too much about what they're into. I just didn't know what to make of it. Grindr was what the stigma of Grindr in America was like 5 years ago, in my opinion. Meaning, historically, Grindr has always been like the very sexualized gay app, right? And it still is that, of course. But I think over time, it has really evolved, and I have met people who have met their boyfriends through Grindr. I have gone on real, normal, respectful dates from Grindr. I think I've actually probably been on more dates from Grindr, like real traditional dates, than Tinder, which kind of like says a lot. I think that as society has become more open with social media and apps in general, I think Grindr has benefited from that. And the stigma, there is still stigma with Grindr for sure, but I think it's less than what it used to be. So it was very interesting for me to come here, and it's very much used in that old school way of the vast majority of pictures are faceless. It's just like a chest, a lot of hairy chest again, or like a leg, or a guy turned with his back showing. Of course, you see that again everywhere. Any city, you have that with Grindr. But here, it was even more intense. And I've been here all week. It's one of the only cities I've ever been to where I haven't had more than 1 or 2 messages exchanged back and forth with a guy. Like, here they're even flakier on these apps, and I think it's even more like in the moment they want something, and and if they don't, flake. They don't respond, or they'll respond to you days later when they're interested again. So it was actually pleasantly surprising for me that I had a more sort of traditional dating experience with Tinder. Usually for me, and I think for a lot of people with apps like Tinder, people don't get back to you, they flake or whatever. So in the end, for me in America, Tinder doesn't end up being that different from an app like Grindr. Here, it is very black and white. It seems like Grindr is the sex hookup app, if that's what you want. But then Tinder there definitely are some guys also looking for sex there. There were, profiles that said only looking for, hookup, whatever. But I have been on 2 dates here with 2 men who were completely lovely and showed me around and very respectful. So it's been very interesting for me because it's a total pleasure to travel internationally and go on 2 dates with 2 different guys who still want to hang out with you and still talk to you after the fact. I mean, I've gone on dates in America where I don't hear back from the person after. So there is something refreshing here about that, but it's, there's always a double-edged sword with cultures like this that are very black and white. Like, this is your hookup app, this is your dating, this is your this is your that. Because what typically happens is people, in my experience, tend to be less open-minded. So they have very clear expectations. Like, we met this way, this is how it's gonna go. So that was the app situation. Then there's the bars and the actual social life of being gay. So that I have found unusual here. The bars here open extremely late. I'm talking like some of them open at midnight. And they stay open till like 6 a.m. Now, I've lived in Miami Beach, I've lived in Los Angeles, I've lived in New York City. These are all major cities that are known for nightlife and partying, communities that don't really go to sleep. They stay up all night and they party and they drink and whatever. I have never been to a bar that stays open till 6 a.m. And I've never been to a bar that opens at midnight either. I didn't even know that was a thing anywhere in the world. I was pretty shocked. They don't have the concept here of like happy hour at 6 p.m., 8 p.m. But again, this is a European city. So instead what people might do is go to a cafe and stay there later than an American might be at a cafe. There is a kind of like gay neighborhood here where all the gay bars and gay friendly establishments are there. And it's actually kind of cute because in between them you have restaurants and cafes and ice cream shops, and so it's not just like bar. It's a community. There's a lot of young people and a lot of tourists. It's not just gay men there. But it was one of these cities where you type in gay bar on Google Maps and all these places come up in that neighborhood. But when I would walk by them, I was like, this is not a gay bar. This is just a bar that probably has a lot of gay people come through. But I was looking for, I'm always curious to see the actual gay establishments, like the actual gay bars. And there were very few of those. There were more probably gay clubs. I'm not really a club guy. I also don't want to pay cover fee. I just want to come in, see what it's like, leave effortlessly if I want to, get a drink if I want to, and actually talk to people and mingle. So actual gay bars, I saw very few of them. And again, some of them opened so late that I was like, I don't have the patience for this. I went out on a Thursday night, which yes, it's not a weekend night, but I don't know, Thursday is still, I would think in a big city like this, Thursday night is still kind of popping at the bars and clubs and whatever. And overall, I felt that the presence was like pretty dead. Again, maybe if it's a Friday, it's a totally different scene, but I was pretty surprised by that. I went to one bar, there was one guy there, one human there, other than the bartender. But I had my dates, so to be honest, I didn't even linger around the bars that much because I was hanging out with these 2 men who were showing me around. Talking to these 2 guys and asking them questions about what gay culture is like here, it was very interesting and informative, and they both basically confirmed that Greece is more conservative than you would think. And even walking around, I saw so many more churches in Athens than I ever thought I would see. But both did mention that the whole like not having a profile, all the cropless photos on Grindr, and again, that's everywhere on Grindr, any city, but here I would say it's amplified. They both did say there are a lot of men here on the down low who, lead a secret life or double life, and that was the explanation. So that instinct was right, and this is going to be, I think Athens is going to be kind of like a harbinger for the rest of my trip, because after this, I'm in the Middle East, and I feel like I'm going to see that over and over. So stay tuned, guys, and let me know what questions or comments you might have. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.